All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Digital DFAS session on the William and Mary Washington Center. My name is Megan Madler. I'm one of the assistant deans in the undergraduate admission office, and I'm joined here today by Roxanne and Gabe. And we're really excited to talk to you a little bit more about the opportunities available in DC through the Washington Center. A little bit of housekeeping before we start this session. We are open to questions at any point during the session. If you want to add those in the chat or in the Q&A feature, we'll get to those and address those live. Other things, you may have some links coming your way through the chat throughout the session. If there's something that we feel that you might want to look at on the website. And besides that, we're really excited to have you all here today. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Roxanne and Gabe.
Thank you so much, Megan, and congratulations to all of you for being accepted to William & Mary. We are really glad to have you here tonight. I know that you are learning a lot about our institution and the many, many opportunities that are in front of you, and we are glad that you're here and you chose to learn a little bit more about the William & Mary Washington Center and what we do. My name is Roxanne Adler-Hickey, and I'm the director of the Washington Center. I got my master's in the School of Education back in 2002, and so I spent some time in Williamsburg as a student myself. And then I've been at the Washington Center since 2006, about 15 years as we've grown and developed into the programs and offerings that we have now. And we're really pleased tonight to be able to share some of that with you and hopefully put it in a context of your larger academic experience at William & Mary. Before I go into a little bit more background and details, I'm going to let my colleague Gabe introduce himself as well.
Thanks, Roxanne. I'm Gabe Canciobello. I am a program assistant at the Washington Center. I graduated from William & Mary recently, just in the past season or so. I graduated in May 2020. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties right now. Can you still hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Sorry about that. I started with the Washington Center as an intern when I was still an undergrad, summer of 2019, and I really saw what they do for students, and I just enjoy the people who work there so much that I was very excited to join them post-graduation. And I've been running some programs here and there as we're getting our footing during this pandemic, which has been pretty rough for teaching classes and trying to get people excited about school. But we've done a pretty good job, and I hope you guys learn enough about the Washington Center to get motivated about it, because it's seriously one of the coolest things that William & Mary offers, in my opinion. And I'll give it back to Roxanne.
Thanks, Gabe. We feel similarly about Gabe, which is why we've kept him on as long as we have and for as long as he'll stay. But what he said is right. And so as I mentioned, you're getting a lot of information about opportunities for you at the university, and this is one of them. And hopefully, if we're doing our jobs well, you're going to hear a lot about the Washington Center and what we do for the next 4 years at William & Mary. So don't worry if you don't, comprehend everything that we're saying today or write down notes on every single program. The good news is pretty much everything we're going to say is in some form on our website, which we'll reference. And more details will come at you as more opportunities become accessible. So think of tonight as your general overview to give you a taste of the possibilities, so that as you're planning out your 4 years at William & Mary, you have a sense of what you want to do. So the William & Mary Washington Center opened 20 years ago in 2001. As a matter of fact, we're celebrating our 20th anniversary this year. So we've got lots of extra programming and details and events going on. We're pretty excited to be doing that. And the idea of the Washington Center is that we are 150 miles away from campus. We are located in the heart of DC, and I imagine that some of you on this meeting tonight are from Northern Virginia. A lot of our students tend to be. But as someone who lives in Northern Virginia, I know that just because DC is in my backyard does not mean I've taken full advantage of it as a student, as a person. And there's so much that DC has to offer. Of course, there's sports and theater and museums and all those things, but also William & Mary has 20,000 plus alumni in the DC area. And one thing that you will learn if you become a William & Mary student is that William & Mary alumni love to help William & Mary students. And so that is part of what the Washington Center was built to do. So as you can see on the slide in front of you, we like to think of ourselves as your campus in the city. We consider ourselves a place of belonging for the entire William & Mary community. That is current students, but it's also faculty, staff, and alumni, parents, family, friends, that the center is a physical place where the William & Mary community can gather. And one of the things that we do, the main thing that we do, sort of the heart of our program, is what we refer to as Study in DC. And so Study in DC is made up of 4 opportunities for students to literally come and study in DC. So if you think about your career in college and you think, I'm going to study abroad at some point, we want you to consider studying in DC at some point. And the 4 offerings that Gabe is going to go through for you in a moment offer you a real variety of ways that you can do that. And so we'll go through all the details of what that looks like, but all 4 opportunities are what we call high impact experiential learning. So why would you study in DC as opposed to on campus, right? We're not like going to Paris or Milan, this is DC. So why come here? Because this is where the experts, this is where the institutions, this is where the alumni and your network will be. And so students who come through the Washington Center for either a long or a short period of time leave with this incredible network of people that you know that you can reach out to when you're ready to start your career and your life beyond William & Mary, but also in all that in between time. So whether you live in Northern Virginia or even in DC, or whether you're across the country or across the world, the Washington Center is still a place where you can come develop yourself, develop your career, make those connections. And so as we go through the next 4 opportunities, I want you to try to picture yourself in DC and think about which of these maybe calls to you and which of these is a way that you think you'd like to engage in DC. And then after we go through that, we'll talk a little bit about some of the benefits across all programs and some of the ways that we offer support to students who are studying in DC. The last thing I'll say before I pass it over to Gabe is that the faculty who teach in DC are William & Mary faculty from Williamsburg, who are also excited to come up and spend some time away from campus and live and teach in the city because of all those things that I mentioned, because there's all these ways to engage with your learning in a self-directed way that's a little bit different than what you could get on campus. So as Megan said, please feel free to put your questions in the chat. We're going to save plenty of time to go through them, but as they pop into your head, you can certainly enter them now, even if we don't get them till the end of the presentation. So Gabe, I will turn it over to you to go through what these opportunities look like for these students.
Thanks. Okay. Yes, as Roxanne mentioned, we're going to try not to bore you with the details or get too into the nitty-gritty before confusing you about what we do. But in Study in DC programs, we're pretty much translating college credit, college work with professional development and all these different, like, more, I guess, immersive educational programs, academic programs. Sorry. The first program that we're going to talk about is the DC semester program. It is what it sounds like. You'll be in DC for the whole semester. And this is what I'm kind of talking about. We're going to translate a lot of the work that you're going to do in an internship. So for a few months before we start the program, we're going to help you figure out where you want to be, what your interests are. And then we're going to give you a list of places to apply to. We're going to have resume reviews, interview, practice, all those kinds of things. And we also have an unbelievable network in DC that we are very, tapped into because of our proximity, but because we are constantly giving them phenomenal William & Mary interns every year. And you guys are all smart. You guys got in. So we're pretty much creating a brand that, you're going to fulfill if you do come to DC. It's going to be a full semester of credits, so you're not going to fall behind by doing this. And I think my favorite thing about it is that you kind of have an opportunity to test drive a career or an internship or an interest for an entire semester of school, and you're not missing out on anything. You're building your resume, you're building your network in DC for an entire semester and working full time. So it's pretty impressive, and it's rare to do those kinds of things in college, especially being so young. DC is a super young city, so you won't feel like out of place or anything like that. And it's very well supported. Roxanne will probably go into it a little bit later, but we'll also pair you with a mentor in DC. They're William & Mary alumni. They just want to help you, as Roxanne said, and they'll basically guide you and help you navigate the city, because it is intimidating, and it's definitely not Williamsburg. So if you're interested in studying abroad, if you're interested in getting work experience before you graduate, this is definitely the one for you. The next one is DC Summer Institutes. There is a great phrase from a coworker of ours where we have programs for every kind of student, that covers every kind of schedule. You can stay for a semester, or you can finish a program in less than 9 days. So keep that in mind. If DC seems like a commitment, we have a program that will actually fit your schedule, whether it's just for a summer or over winter break when you're doing obviously nothing, we know. You can get ahead and do these kinds of things. So DC Summer Institutes kind of combines the internship and obviously college credit, which you're going to be taking classes and working at a place of your interest that we match. You'll have people within the organization communicating with us, making sure that you're fitting in well. And again, it's like a test drive while, getting those credits that you need to graduate. You'll get a mentor and you'll have all the staff support that you need as you go through it. This is a very popular one. It happens in the summer. DC's unbelievable fun in the summer, and the social aspect is something I'll get into later, but it's probably apparent to you now. But you'll have a whole lot of fun in DC. The DC Winter Seminars is definitely our shortest program. Call 300 is something that you'll need to fulfill before you graduate. And this is probably by far and away the best way to get that out of the way, but also making the most of it. Call 300 kind of stands for interdisciplinary stuff, and we do that best. So we kind of actually bring you to the sites that we're talking about in these classes. We're letting you talk to experts and bringing them in for guest lectures. And they have, experience, current and past, and all these things that you're going to be, able to synthesize what you're actually learning in the classroom. That's something that we do in all of our programs. We have site visits, we have guest speakers, and you'll first get to know the alumni community in DC while also just learning in an immersive way. So this is a great one if you're trying to make the most out of your winter break. The last opportunity is DC Summer Session. This one is coming up this summer, and we have some amazing classes for DC Summer Session. They're updated so often that it's usually the most relevant topics that you can think of, things that you're watching on the news. We bring our faculty up from campus and they teach for 5 weeks online, and then you come to DC for 5 days in person. And those 5 days you get to do all of the experiential learning that we do. So you'll meet alumni, you'll do some networking, whatever it is, and you'll also be able to apply your knowledge with experts in the field, which is just phenomenal. This is kind of just an overview, again, kind of beating a dead horse, but it is something that we do well, and it's something that we want you guys to take advantage of. We are bringing super high caliber professors to DC every year. We choose them based on how the things that they're teaching, how relevant it is, how great of a teacher they are, because we're not going to bring someone that would be a little bit difficult to DC. We're bringing them because they're passionate about the class they're teaching, just as passionate as the students taking them. And we're going to marry those academics with real world experience. So the internship aspects in some of our programs are huge for this. Padding your resume can be really difficult, and having all these options to, fit that schedule or be flexible with your schedule to have actual work experience when you graduate. This is such a good way to do that while earning credits. And obviously DC has a connotation that it's all politics and it's all nonprofits and all that stuff. But these are just some of the themes that we covered this year: business, news and media. You can go down the list. You all know how to read, but it's definitely something that we're constantly doing intentionally to expand the stuff that we're teaching, the subjects and topics and themes. So if you're I mean, if you're this early learning about the Washington Center, you can be updated, like checking every year, every semester to see what kind of classes we're teaching, because it could resonate with you and you didn't expect it because you were expecting us to teach you how to vote or something like that. So make sure to check in with us, see what we're providing students, because we're always just trying to give our students a great academic experience, but also one that kind of fulfills real world learning, which is something that everyone at the university is very passionate about, especially us. Alumni connections, Roxanne talked about this. I can't understate the importance of this aspect of what we do. Students are still talking to alumni mentors that they had 4 years ago, 5 years ago, more, and they become friends with them. And we kind of set up these safer spaces to practice networking, and that I would have never had unless I was interning at the Washington Center. So networking super intimidating, especially William & Mary alumni. Some of them are extremely successful and you're like, why am I talking to this person? We provide a context for you to actually engage with the alumni and relate to them. And chances are some of those alumni you saw speaking in your class the other day when you asked this great question. So you have like this nice support system that's always going to follow you around in DC, whether, I mean, as much as you'd like. But in this case, it's super, super valuable to have an in with alumni that have already, you know, done the same things that you're doing. They lived in the same dorms that you would live in, you know? So this is probably my favorite part about what we do. Just showing students, I guess, Ghosts of Christmas Future, maybe. But it's a great program. And yes, of course, living in DC, definitely one of our greatest attractions. Just the city itself is phenomenal. The food, the culture, I mentioned earlier, it's a young city. Can confirm, I moved to the area after graduating and it does kind of feel like college almost, but everybody has a paycheck, so it's great. But you won't feel out of place, and you're surrounded by other students doing exactly what you're doing every single day. And living in DC is, you know, living in Williamsburg is great. But living in DC, you know, there's a few things to do. And we'll set up things for our classes, going to sports games, checking out different cultural festivals that are always happening in DC. And I mean, you know, the possibilities, I'm sure. All right. Roxanne?
Yeah, so before I jump into some of the support elements, there's a few questions in the chat related to what Gabe just went through. So I'll go ahead and answer those. So around the idea of internships. So of the 4 programs, the semester program and the summer institutes do both include an internship. And so one of the, and this relates to support too, but we're a small team. We're a staff of 6 in the Washington Center. And so students who come through, this 300 or 400 students a year, really get to know our team, and our team really gets to know you. And so each program has a program manager. So Gabe manages the semester program. And if you do the semester program, when you're accepted, you're going to work with Gabe for months leading up to your time in DC to apply for internships that interest you and that you've got the skill set for. And what we offer, so you could apply for an internship on your own, of course, but what you do through Gabe and with the rest of our team backing him is you get a foot in the door. And so instead of just being one resume in a virtual stack, we sometimes are able to use our alumni connections and say, okay, well, so don't apply the way you would online, actually just email this person directly, or go ahead and apply online and then let us know so we can email the alum who works there and say, you know, flag this, and the students, they're ours. We've also had alumni who create opportunities specific to our students. And so there's no set internships. It's not a matching process, which some schools and some universities do. But for us, we believe that part of the process is you learning how to make your resume great and how to interview great and how to write those cover letters that are really compelling, and then how to weigh options when you have 2 offers, which is something that happens to our students quite a bit, where I'm waiting on this, which is my number 1 choice, but I have this offer. What do I do with that? Well, you get one-on-one access to Gabe. Our team of 6, you're going to have all our personal cell phone numbers. That's how close we end up getting with you and how invested we are in your success of the semester. So someone asked, what internships are available for a neuroscience major? Well, the truth is, anything you want to do. We've got relationships at the National Institute of Health, for example, at NIH. We've had many classes go there and speakers come into ours. And so I don't know if that's the right connection, but whatever it is that you're interested in, we're going to go out, we're going to find those contacts. We're going to use this universe of tens of thousands of alumni, and we're going to ask them to help us find the connections that we don't already have or continue to develop the ones that we do. And so we used to have a model in the semester program that was a specific topic, and that's what you interned in. But the new semester model that Gabe explained to you means that any student in any subject area, from neuroscience to marine biology to music to government, whatever it is, can intern in DC where you want, and we will help you find those connections, and we will build those relationships to help you get that foot in the door. Now, we can't guarantee that everyone gets their top choice, but what we know is after 15 years of running internship programs, 2 students out of thousands decided to switch internships along the way. That's a really good track record of students finding internships that make them happy, where they can learn, and they're not just getting coffee or making copies, but we meet one-on-one with your supervisors before you even start your internship, so that they know that you are there to get this really rich, robust experience. And then we check in halfway through the internship, both with you and your supervisor, to make sure you're both getting what you need out of this. And then we do it again at the end. So it's all about developing those deeper relationships to make sure that you're getting exactly what you want out of it. So making sure I'm answering these questions. Neuroscience major, whatever you want to intern in, we're going to help you find that opportunity. In terms of paid, unpaid, housing provided. So students can have paid internships. We do not preclude students from that, but I will say they are fewer paid internships than there are unpaid internships. And so we tell students not to count on having a paid internship if that's going to be a deal breaker for you. We'll talk about that in the front end, but they are harder to find. Sometimes employers are willing to give a small stipend or a Metro Pass, something like that. But in the moment, since we're working in a very virtual world, I think they're even less likely to be paid than they have in the past. But it's something that we will, again, work with you on, and I will talk more about funding in a moment. Housing, as Gabe alluded to, the Living in DC slide. So housing is a part of some of our programs for semester, for winter, and summer institutes. If you would like to live in our housing, we will work with you and get you in. And we have students who are living in groups of 4 in apartments in downtown DC. It is not required though. So if you live in Northern Virginia and you'd like to save some money by not living in our housing, you will still have a really rich experience. But if you do need housing, we'll work on it. For summer session, which is just that 1 week of evening in person, we don't offer housing, but we're always happy to help students find something, guide you if you're looking for something on your own. Internships for the semester, specific to whatever you're majoring in. So I think we've covered that. They can be really on any topic. For the summer institutes, we run 3 institutes simultaneously. And so internships for that program, we try to align as closely as possible with the topic, because it's a pretty intensive, it's a little more condensed than the semester, but the topics are big and broad. And so we really are able to work with students to find fits that allow them to be studying what they need, as well as doing what they want in their internship. I think that gets to all of those. Difficult to get a spot in the semester program. Our goal is to give this opportunity to as many students who want it. And so while we do have an application process to make sure that this is a fit for you, it is not meant to eliminate candidates. It's meant to make sure that you know what you're getting into and that this feels like something you want, so that we can have a conversation. As a matter of fact, this goes into the last question as well as this slide, but it is our goal to increase access to the study in DC opportunities. So the DC semester program has no cap. If we have 80 applicants who really want to be in DC then and feel like they can do it, we're going to work with you, all 80 of you, to make that happen. We have not hit that number for the semester program. Now in the summer and the winter, we go beyond that number. So no, our goal is not to eliminate you. It is not hard to get in, but we do want to know that you're thoughtful about it, because they are intensive programs. Financial aid, does it follow you? So yes, For the semester program, because it is fall and spring, and you're paying standard tuition to do the semester program, your financial aid package absolutely follows you. The only cost of the semester program is a small program fee, which, forgive me, I would want to say is $500. That hasn't changed, right, Gabe? Okay, thank you. Forgive me for not remembering that number. And then your regular tuition. So the semester program is extremely affordable, especially if you already have aid, if you're in-state or out-state, that completely carries over. Our other winter seminars and summer institutes do carry course fees attached to them. All of the costs, and I won't go into each one, but all of the costs are on the website in those links that Megan put in the chat for you, so you can look at each one. But we give away a lot of scholarship money. A few years ago, we created a board whose incredibly generous giving has allowed us to give over $50,000 in scholarships annually to students who want to study in DC. So as you can see from some of the slides here, our goal is to give as many students who want this program, who want these opportunities, access as possible. So there's a long way of saying, if you're worried about the finances, still submit an application, talk to us, we will guide you. We will make sure that before you're putting any sort of deposit down, you know if you've had a scholarship, you know what sort of financial aid you might have. In the summer, there's grant opportunities as well. And so we will work with as many students as we possibly have money to support getting here, if that's the thing that stands in your way. And we do that because we really believe that these programs could be life-changing for many, but certainly career-changing for most. And so that is not something that we think should be kept, but something that as many students as who want should have access. In addition to the financial support in terms of scholarships, the small team also wants you to feel like you have all the resources and support that you have on campus up in DC. And so you have access to a counseling center, to a health center. We contract through Georgetown University, as a matter of fact, so we use their health center, and our students can go there just like you would a health center on campus. We have emergency safety protocols, which also include our personal cell phones that connect to campus, that connect to all the way up to student affairs and vice presidents. So we are very connected and in line with campus, and we make sure that what you need in terms of support is offered at a bare minimum of what you get on campus, but is likely to be even more support and more one-on-one need, because we're small and if we can. I see one more question in here about a GI Bill covering the cost of study in DC. It's an excellent question. And so for a semester program where, again, you're taking a standard course load of credit, that has not been a problem. But for programs like winter seminars, so far we've hit some roadblocks in terms of the veterans benefits, but it is not a battle we are done fighting, and we are working diligently to see if there's ways that we can do better there. But for the semester program, because of standard tuition, we have not seen any issues there. But happy to talk to you about that more offline as well. In fact, we can put our email addresses in this chat too before we leave, so you can follow up with questions that you may have that are more personal and less for the group. Gabe, anything else you want to add in terms of support or offerings that we maybe haven't already covered? That does it. Other questions? I mean, we didn't do a deep dive into the finances, but for each program opportunity that you have the links on, you can see the exact courses that are being offered this year, that have been offered in the past. You can see where students have interned, and then each one has a detailed cost sheet. We even estimate how much students spend on life in DC. You know, it varies. There's no meal plan in DC, so students cook and grocery shop or go out to eat on their own or get delivery. And so that can vary quite a bit between how fancy you want to be at restaurants or how frugal you want to be cooking for yourself. But we have estimated those. We've tracked a few students over the years. But I guess the main message I want to make sure that you receive today is that if you want to study in DC, then there's a way for you, a program for you, and I hope that you find it. And if you're trying to figure out what that might be, you can always talk to us. We do a few information sessions a year, but we're also always available and accessible to you. So please consider that. What else do you have questions about? Did I miss any in the chat? Are you able to do a semester abroad and a semester in DC and graduate in 4 years? Absolutely. Students do it quite a bit. A question I'm often asked by students is, if I had to choose, should I study abroad or study in DC? And I said, please don't choose. You certainly have to work on your schedule carefully, and you'll have an academic advisor who can help you do that. But because these are William and Mary classes with William and Mary professors, and you earn William and Mary credit, there's no reason that one has to preclude the other. And so it's a great way to get your abroad experience, which I wholeheartedly believe in. I studied abroad myself when I was an undergrad, and I think it's a really eye-opening, really amazing experience. But you can definitely do both. As a matter of fact, we have students who come back and study in DC. We've had students do 3 opportunities. We haven't had our all 4 yet, so we're still looking for our home run student. But many students have, done a winter seminar and gotten their feet wet, and then decided that they want to come back and do a semester program later in their career. And so as a first year student, the programs that will be open to you are the Summer Institutes and the Summer Session. And then as a sophomore, you can apply to do, or junior, senior, you can apply to do a winter seminar or a semester program. And that is simply because you're going to be so new to your career at William and Mary that it'll be really hard to be applying to leave after you've only been on campus for a couple of weeks. And we want to make sure that you get your full experience your first year. So that's part of that program as well. But yes, by all means, do it all. High likelihood for students getting a job. Yes, I wish I had a better statistic I could offer you. We've surveyed students in the past. It's a little bit tricky because sometimes there's a very direct connection between students who are asked to stay on upon graduation. So seniors can do the semester program or the Summer Institute, for example, and they'll stay and they'll do their internship, and then they'll get that full-time job, and that certainly happens. But sometimes it's a little more indirect, like through your mentor or through the network and relationships that you built in the semester. But I would say very candidly and honestly that absolutely, if you study in DC, your path to your career through connections, through opportunities that you wouldn't know about otherwise, will be enhanced and enriched. And many students who come through our program, the vast majority, I would probably argue, are given additional internships or full-time job offers upon graduation as a result of what they're doing through these programs. Scrolling through questions here. Could a student in the joint degree program participate in programs at the Washington? Do you mean, you're talking about the St. Andrews program, I assume? And if that is what you're asking, then the answer to that is yes. We've definitely had students do that as well from St. Andrews. DC semester program, continue my major and complete a course. So the courses that we offer in DC absolutely fall in academic departments. And so depending on what you're studying and what course you're taking, it could absolutely count for your major. Now, if you are a English major and you're taking a course in history, you might have to petition your department if it is directly related. If it's not, it would more count as an elective or towards your general, 120 credits that you need to graduate. Is that still the right number? Hopefully. But so that's definitely a possibility. But again, it's just like registering for a class on campus. So when you go to register for your classes, this is no different than that, except there's the added step of an application in between, a non intimidating application. We've actually gone back and made it even simpler for students. Multiple semester programs. As a matter of fact, we've had a couple of students do 2 different semester programs. I would say that in the past that students did that because there was 2 really specific topics that they wanted to study. But now the semester program is wide open, and so you can really make your own path about what you want to study. The one trick to that, and I'll be super honest with you, is that you at William & Mary can earn a maximum of 6 internship credits. You can have additional credits that count towards your 120, but if they are internship credits, you're going to max out at 6. and our program does include, or semester program does include, a 6-credit internship. So we'd have to work with you to figure out what that might look like. We've had students do something like an independent study instead. But what I hope you're hearing is that there are ways that we will work with you to the best of our ability to find ways that work into your academic path, what you're looking for. But that would be the only potential fallout for you. How does the housing for the semester program work? Gabe, you want to take that one? I feel like I've been talking a ton.
I'll give you a break. Okay, so for semester, we do have sponsored housing. So what that means is that we, make a deal with a building and they might slice down their rates a little bit, or we might allow you to stay in like a nicer place than you would otherwise be able to stay at that price. Right now, actually, our semester students are living in the same apartment that my sister lives in, so she's upset about that. But yeah, we really set you up in a nice spot, and it's very central and close to the center. That's the main thing. It's going to cost this probably, comparable to on-campus living. On-campus living isn't cheap either, unfortunately, but it functions the same way. But with housing, I would say that I personally was afraid of the study in DC programs when I was in undergrad because I thought that they were too expensive for me. But you're allowed to choose your own housing, and that changes pretty much the entire game. You can find a place months ahead of time that would actually fit your budget, and you can make it work for you. So, I mean, you can even get a part-time job. I wouldn't recommend it, but especially if you're worried about cost, visit our website or also shoot me an email, which I'm about to send into the chat.
All right, well, I'll leave a few moments for any last minute questions. If you do still have any other questions, go ahead and add those in the Q&A. Otherwise, you'll see that Gabe and Roxanne have both added their emails into the chat. Feel free to reach out if you have any other questions after this session. I know that there are plenty of admitted student sessions happening, and you might not think of something until right afterwards. But thank you all for coming. Thank you, Gabe and Roxanne, for joining us today. I'm going to share a little bit of information here. If you all have missed a session that you would like to go back to later on, we have recorded these sessions and we'll be posting them on our website soon. You can also check out some of our other great admitted students information that'll be posted in the next few days, some other webinars, some fun student engagement sessions where you can meet other members of the class of 2025. Don't forget, if you want to go ahead and make your deposit, you can do that on your portal page as well. And if you have any other questions, or if you're enjoying the content that we're putting out there, feel free to tag us, let us know, send your regional dean an email. But thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
All right.